According to the American Psychological Association, 4 in 10 Americans, or 43%, admit they overeat or eat unhealthy foods in order to manage stress. Or 1/3, or 36% of Americans say they've skipped a meal over the last month in an attempt to manage their stress. Michele Vilseck is a group fitness instructor, motivational speaker, food and relationship coach, and a professional organizer. And after struggling with major digestive issues, which had her down to eating only 5 foods and overeating for 15 years, she finally dug herself out of the hole and experienced brighter days. She boiled it down to the best healing and brain training techniques in a 4-part system, which she uses now to help her clients lose weight consistently and end their fight with food for good. She joined me this week to tell me all about her personal journey and relationship with food and how she's helping others come out the other side with their battle with food to experience prosperity. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. So, Michele, if you're ready, I'll welcome you to the program, and I'm excited to learn all about your relationship with food, nutrition, and how you help people live healthier lives. Great to see you today, and thank you so very much for being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, 100%. I'm excited.
Absolutely, as am I. So I want to dive into your story right away, Michele. And I want you to tell me all about your relationship with food, nutrition, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to pause and say thank you again for inviting me. I'm just super impressed by your podcast and your focus and all the questions that you ask. And yeah, I'm Michele V. And so for the last 20 years or so, I think a lot of us struggle with our health. We have health struggles that come up, and I was struggling with stress eating as well. So I at one point my digestion was so bad in college. I found out that I was gluten-free back before that was the cool thing to do, and there weren't any products out there. And so I was kind of forced to learn how to cook. I was forced to learn how to eat whole foods because there wasn't anything available for me to eat. And then I got more and more food sensitivities, which I ended up linking back to my stress later. But so that kind of, I guess I was sort of forced into health and nutrition, and I had to learn how to figure things out. The doctor didn't know how to help me. And so I had to figure out how to do it on my own. And then I really learned a lot about my body and that my body can heal itself. So I think I got into nutrition and helping other people too, because I realized that their bodies, your body can heal itself from so many things. And we just don't always have that knowledge. So that's what I'm excited to share with everybody.
Absolutely. And you tell me that you've boiled it down to a 4-step system to help retrain our brains and for the healing process as well. So I'm wondering if you can tell me all about that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So what I teach my clients now that I finally overcame, I stopped overeating. I had a long battle with that, and I kept running into barriers, and I couldn't figure out how to make it work. So I think there's maybe a lot of people in general. So if there's listeners out there right now who are struggling with, maybe it's all the way and you're struggling with binge eating every night. Maybe it's just that you want more, like, better portion control. Maybe you feel like, man, I wish I wasn't stress eating so much. Like, I wish I could not go to food every time I'm stressed. Like, any of those situations I consider to be overeating, essentially, that it's you wanting to change your relationship with food, but not being able to do it. So I teach people to have their number one, just really gain a vision of what you want, because a lot of us just don't know what we want with food. We haven't sat down and thought about it. And one of the analogies I use is with a house. For example, have you ever moved into a new house before?
I
Or a new
have,
apartment?
yes.
Absolutely, right? Was it easy? Like, everything just worked out the first time?
Well, I'll share a little bit about myself, Michelle. I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. So nothing ever seems to come easy for me. I'm always adjusting, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. You probably have amazing motivation then, right? Uh,
I tried to anyway, yeah.
yeah, I think so. I think so. So I use that example because for most people, if you're moving into a new house, there's going to be stuff that comes up. You're not going to find the perfect house the first time, or maybe there's a problem that shows up when you're trying to buy your house or whatever it is. But for most people, we can buy the house and we move into the house. We're successful. But when it comes to our health and relationships with food, a lot of times we think, man, I just can't stay motivated, or maybe I'm really bad at this. Whenever you're moving into your new house, you don't think, man, I'm bad at moving. I'm just really bad at this. I'm never going to get it. Right. We don't think that. So I just try to share with people that, yeah, you've got motivation. You just haven't gotten clarity about your destination. So we get clarity around that.
Fantastic. I'm also wondering your thoughts on how we create a healthy relationship with food and practice good nutritional habits.
Yeah. I think it comes down to, so what I teach people, of course, is reprogramming your brain about food. So, not like, obviously the food is important and we need to be putting healthy foods in our body, but I find that most people know what's healthy for the most part. We know that we shouldn't be eating junk food. We should eat less junk food, and we should be eating more healthy food. But the problem is we don't know how to get ourselves to do it. And there's a lot of things that get in the way of making those habits, like you said. So the way I like to explain it is that there's nothing wrong with you. It's not that that you don't have motivation or that you don't have willpower, but that there's a part of us that wants to eat healthy and wants to make the changes that we're looking for. We want to have more energy. We want to be able to play with our kids. We want to have better focus. But there's another part of us that thinks food tastes really good. And we think that we don't want to miss out on all the family gatherings. We don't want to offend anybody. So because of that, we are kind of conflicted, and there's always this fight going on. So essentially, the way that you get yourself to do it is to reprogram those barriers, that I call them. That you reprogram the reasons why you think you want to eat the food, and trick your brain into thinking something else about it, telling yourself a different story, so that way you're not fighting yourself all the time.
Absolutely. And Michelle, can you also dive in to the emotional side of eating? A lot of people use food as sort of a masking agent to deal with emotions. So I'm wondering your thoughts on effective emotional eating and how you help people sort of reverse the trend and make sure it's healthy emotional eating as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know whenever I was on my journey too, I thought, I need to be perfect, right? It's stress eating. So if I just get rid of my stress, then I'll stop stress eating. And that's what my approach was first is, oh, I just got to manage all my emotions and that'll make me not stress eat. But what I found was it's pretty impossible to get rid of all of the stress that you ever have in your life, right? Something's going to show up. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. I guess to start out, I think just knowing that it is a trend and that there's nothing wrong with you. It's something that's kind of programmed in us as well to want food whenever we're stressed. And we can see that trend across the board. So you don't have to feel bad that if it is a problem. The next thing is I found whenever I was trying to reverse my own stress eating, I thought I needed to get rid of the stress in order to stop stress eating. So I was, which I think is amazing. It's amazing to learn ways to reduce stress and reduce emotional baggage and things like that. But what I teach people also is that you don't have to be perfect in order to stop stress eating. That in fact, it comes back to the mental aspect of it, that there's a reason that you eat instead of you drink, or instead of going to exercise, or instead of doing something else. So if you can just break the belief that food relaxes me, then you can stop stress eating. Because the reason we're stress eating is because we think, oh, food's going to make me feel better, or food's going to take this emotion away. But whenever you rebuild the belief that food actually doesn't do those things, and you really understand that on deep down level, then you'll stop stress eating, and you'll start and of course I teach people to manage their emotions in other ways, but that's the trick.
Absolutely. And you also say that it's possible to achieve our goal weight and use food as positive as well, regardless of what others have to say about that. So I'm wondering if you could expand on that a little bit for me this afternoon.
Sure. Yeah, I know we put a lot of barriers on ourselves. So one of my biggest things, my mission in life is to show people that it's possible. And just as an example, whenever I'm talking to my clients, I'll ask them, how much weight do you want to lose? And they'll say, oh, I guess I'll be happy with 10, 20 pounds or 30 pounds, but really I'd want to lose 50 pounds, but I'll just be happy with 30 pounds, because they don't feel like they can lose the full 50 pounds, or they don't feel like they can really recover 100%. So it's almost like we don't give ourselves permission to go all the way. I think another example would be people who are older. They're like, oh, whenever you get older, then it's harder to lose weight. and it's because I'm older. And I think the reason we put those boundaries on ourselves is because we haven't found someone who tells us, no, you can do whatever you want, or we haven't been able to find what works for us. And so then you kind of feel bad that you haven't been able to get the weight off, or it's like harder than you think it is. And so then we start to put those boundaries on ourselves. But from my experience, age doesn't matter. Your starting weight doesn't matter. You just need the right process and someone to help you, reprogram your brain about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also say that there are some external influences that sabotage our ability to make healthy change in food. So I'm wondering if you can expand on that for me today.
Sure, absolutely. So some external things. Whenever I work with my clients, or even if you came to my workshop, I just had a workshop today, I like to list out all the reasons why you're eating, right? Because we talked about at the beginning of this, we talked about how there's reasons why you want to eat healthy and there's reasons why you don't want to eat healthy, right? And so we just try to make a big list, whether those are internal, like, oh, it's going to make me feel better, or if they're external things, like somebody brought me a full plate of brownies and they put it right in front of me. We just make a big list of those, and ultimately it actually doesn't matter if they're external or internal, because ultimately it comes back to the internal. And what are you making it mean that they brought you the brownies? Or, are you afraid you're going to offend them? Are you feeling like you deserve those brownies, or you don't want to miss out? Or there's just like a lot of internal reasons. It comes back to the internal. But yeah, for sure, there's people around us and things that make it a little bit trickier, but ultimately it comes back to you.
Absolutely. And Michelle, I'm curious to ask you how much of your own story helps you connect with your clients on a human level.
Yeah, I think, I've tried to, in my coaching journey, I've tried to coach about other things. And whenever I've got my own coaches to help me, like I say, I want to make more money, or I'm not making, or whatever. Whenever I get coaches to help me, a lot of times they've told me, oh, well, maybe you need to change what you're doing and who you're talking to. And every time I just come back to this because it's what I'm so passionate about. And I feel like every time I see somebody else who's struggling, I can remember the struggle and identify deeply with that. And I think people resonate with that, and they understand that, it's powerful whenever you see someone who's been where you are, and where you are feels impossible. And then you see them on the other side. It's powerful to see that. It helps you feel like, yeah, it's possible. There's a way out.
And tell me, for you, I'm always interested to get the perspective on this question. For you personally, what's the best part of your job and living life?
Thank you. I make it. You can't see it here on our podcast. You can't see it, but one of my big mottos is fun. I put it on my wall. So one of the biggest things that I enjoy, I do enjoy having fun and making things silly and making silly analogies. So the thing that's fun for me is teaching people and helping them reach their best selves. I know that maybe sounds cheesy, but yeah, I've just really enjoyed teaching people, and then seeing people have that light bulb moment go off and be able to change their life because of it and have totally different result in their life. It's really empowering and exciting for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the mottos that I live by is that inclusion is the gateway to independence. And one of the things that I like to do is challenge people to maximize their own fullest individual potential. It's very important, isn't it?
It totally is. Yeah, 100%.
And Michelle, I know that through this personal experience of talking to you this afternoon, that you have some kids that find you to be adorable and pretty cool. So I'm curious to ask you, what's the best part about being a mom?
Oh, thank you. I think it's exciting to see them grow. I mean, it's probably the same thing about my, I just like teaching them and seeing them grow and seeing them get excited about new things, whenever they're learning how to ride their bike, or they've learned this new word or whatever. It's just fun to see their growth as well.
Absolutely. And tell me, finally, I'm wondering if you've given any thought to your personal or professional legacy and how you want that to be defined. And if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way they can do that?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. I guess no one's ever really asked me what I want my legacy to be, but I would love to change. I would love to change the way that we talk about food in general, the way that we approach the problem. And really, I'm very passionate about the plant-based diet, and I don't make all my clients eat plant-based, but I try to move in that direction because what we eat and what do we put into our bodies has such an impact on our health, and we are capable of reversing so many diseases and problems that we have with that. So I think the biggest thing I want to do is to make that more mainstream, to make this opportunity to reprogram and just take control of your own health be more of an option for more people. And I'm doing that with a Facebook group. I have a podcast and a Facebook group and a workshop that they're all called Win the Food Fight. So you can check me out on Facebook and various places if you just Google Win the Food Fight. And then that 4-hour class, it's super fun, and I just walk you through all the steps and teach you how to do it, and it's a total blast. So that's at winthefoodfightlive.com, or you can email me at hello@winthefoodfight.com, and I will hook you up with all the details or resources and anything you need.
Fantastic. Well, Michele, I really enjoyed spending a few minutes with you to learn about your journey with food, nutrition, and weight loss. And I have to tell you, I admire your story and what you've overcome. And I'm really appreciative of the time that you've chosen to spend with me. I want to thank you for taking my questions and for being here this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
Yeah, thank you so much. You are an amazing podcast host, and I've really enjoyed being here.